Hello, this is wmpyr. I just saw It Part 2 last night at the movie theater. And yeah, I just want to share my thoughts with you guys. Okay, so what do I think? It Part 1 and Part 2, this new version, I did like the original with Tim Curry. I did really like that. So this one here, I don't know if I'd say it's better. The visuals is for sure, obviously the visuals, the cinematography is amazing. Okay, but I think I prefer the original as far as just the way it's presented, the story, the way the story is presented. In this one, what can I'd have to see it again to really make that comparison. But this one, uh, let me see. With this film, it just felt like a torture flick for me. Yeah. The kids get bullied at school by people, and then they're getting bullied and harassed by the It monster. So it just felt like a movie where they're just getting bullied the whole time. So then it's like it just feels like nonstop bullying. Therefore, I say it felt like a torture flick. That's my reasoning there. What I would have liked to have seen is actually probably what a lot of people uh, may not agree with, but for me, the story is not really a horror film. And you might be going, what? It is a horror film. It's iconic horror. What the hell are you talking about? And and I can definitely understand that, but for me, it's not. This move, the story is more along the lines of Star Wars, which I know people are like, what are you talking about? The Star Wars is a band of rejects that have to go save the princess. And originally, I mean, that's a knight in shining armor tale where the knight in shining armor has to go save the princess by entering the enemy castle, the enemy fortress, and they have to somehow figure out and go up against the enemy, the dragon, which is maybe Darth Vader, and the evil king or whatever, and save the princess, right? So but instead, it's a little bit of a twist, because not a little bit, a lot of a twist. One is it's sci-fi, and number two is that it's a band of rejects. So it's, instead of the knight in shining armor, the knight in shining armor is old, way out of his prime, Obi-Wan. And then he has a squire, this farm boy. And then another person is Han Solo, who we don't even know if we could trust this guy, right? So a bunch of rejects, underdogs, have to go save the princess now. So that's the story there. So to me, with the It story, it's kind of along those lines where, this whole town has been taken over by a monster for hundreds and hundreds of years, this evil being. And it's up to a bunch of rejects, loser kids, not adults, kids, to try to have to save the day. And then later on, as adults, they have to do it again. They have to save the day. So, yeah, to me, it kind of feels along the same line. And I would have preferred it in that direction if it was more like a little bit more like an action adventure film, like Goonies, a little bit more like Stand By Me, where I want to see the kids be kids and interact together and have to deal with this very intense situation, but they still act like kids. And that's I wanted to see more of that. And for me, that direction would have been very satisfying. I know with it, the clown Pennywise, everyone wants to focus on that. So I felt like the director focused a lot of his attention onto Pennywise. And yeah, Pennywise looks awesome, and it is scary, and you could tell they put in a lot of thought and effort into it. But if you put too much thought into Pennywise and you focus too much on that, then yes, he looks awesome and he looks scary, but then what happens is he's too powerful. And I felt like that throughout this movie, was he's way too powerful, and then he's like just completely tormenting the kids because they're completely in the palm of his hand, which I understand in part two it's more about his revenge. So I get that, but it was so much to the point where, like I said, it did feel like a torture flick, and also felt like they're not gonna win. They can't do it. And it's not like oh my gosh, they're not going to win, I'm on my toes. It was more like, this is annoying. They're not going to win. But I know they are. And when they are, it's going to be like all of a sudden, it's just, it doesn't make sense and they win. It's magical stuff that it's not very logical. It's just who shows complete dominance and is completely torturing them and is this unstoppable force, and then all of a sudden becomes super weak. And I was like, it's going to turn into that. And it pretty much did. So I was disappointed with that. If you focus too much on the monster, that's what's going to happen. So part of me felt like I wish it was more like Jaws, where you don't see the monster as much, If you show the monster constantly, you're going to get a little, how do you call it, numb to it. When it makes its presence, you want to be like, oh, there he is, oh my gosh, I'm scared. But it was constantly there, constantly tormenting the kids. So, and I kept telling myself, I was trying to root for the movie. I wanted to like the movie. So I told myself, hey, the final form, you get to see it's probably going to come out. You're going to see the final form. So right now, what you're seeing with the clown, this is kind of the clown, even though it steals the show, this is just the surface. Wait till you see the real form. And I know in the original TV show, a lot of people were disappointed in the final form, myself included. It's like, oh, it's just a big giant spider. So in this one, they changed it a little bit. I would have definitely changed the face of the giant form. The problem that I had with it, maybe I'm nitpicking, is when you have something huge, right? It shouldn't move like you and me, like at this speed. Then it's like, it doesn't feel huge anymore. So I would have wanted to see the, like Godzilla, where it's slower, but within that one step it takes for the people, the kids, it would, or they're not kids anymore, but for the regular people to catch up to that one step, it takes them like 20 steps for one move that it makes. Then, even though he's slow, he's kind of not, right? So they didn't do that, and it took away from the realism for me. It cheapened the size of the monster, so that was disappointing. And also the face of the monster, I would have done it differently. If you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I wasn't too happy with that. I just would have gone in a different direction. But yeah, so I would have liked to have seen the kids in the era of the, and that was another thing. I was like, isn't this supposed to be like 80s, 90s? And then there were times where I wasn't sure, So I would have liked to see a lot more of the era, and they tried in some ways. In some parts, it was inconsistent, but in some ways, I felt like you look at the T-shirts or the video game. Wasn't happy with the Street Fighter because they relied a little bit on your ignorance. I know this is nitpicking, but they were like in the original game of Street Fighter. It's either you're Ryu or Ken, and that's it. You don't get to pick the other characters, and of course they try to pass up the one of the other fighters, the American guy, Joe. Joe is his name, as Ken, and it's like, yeah, that's, if you know the game, it's ridiculous what they're trying to do there. So some detail there would have been nice, but anyway. so overall, I wanted to see the kids cooperate more. And if it didn't show himself as much, I think it would have been cool. And yeah, and I think they made it way too powerful. So at the end, it just made for really, that's how they beat him. You know, it kind of did that for me. Uh, but yeah, the cinematography, beautiful. Uh, the It monster, of course, the Pennywise, the clown, the actor is looks great for sure. That's where they spent a lot of time on for sure. The house looks amazing, just completely amazing. Wanted them to show more of the house and how you know how the inside is and stuff. Maybe they did more. They definitely did do more of that in part one. So in part two they didn't do as much. But so this house looks so awesome. It made me think if they do Salem's Lot, man, I would really like to see the house. And done this way. So a new version of Salem's Lot would be. I would be excited to see that. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed the movie for sure. I just kind of wish it was in a different direction. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching and take care, folks.